Hello, this is Dr. Hansa Das with you, and today I begin with a new series of videos on the post-Mauryan period, which roughly covers the period 200 BCE to 300 CE. This will comprise a set of videos on different aspects of political, social, economic, religious, and cultural developments during this period. This particular video is an introduction to this period in which we will briefly talk about the dynasties that came into existence after the decline of the Mauryan Empire. So the period which commenced from about 200 BCE did not witness a large empire, but it is historically important as one in which there were widespread cultural contacts with Central Asia and the assimilation of foreign elements into the Indian society. This period witnessed the emergence of a number of foreign elements into the Indian society. The reconstruction of the history of the subcontinent after the Mauryan rule is based on a variety of sources. So now we will talk about the sources of this period. First, we come to the literary sources, in which the first one is the dynastic genealogies found in the early Puranas. They throw light on the political history of the times. Then we have the Dharma Shastra works, Gargi Samhita, Mahabhashya of Patanjali. Then we have the Buddhist Jatakas, Divyavadan, Mahavastu, and Milind Panhu. Malvikagnimitra of Kalidas, Harshcharit of Banbhat. And then we have some classical Greco-Roman accounts. For example, the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, which is by an unknown writer. And then we also have Tamil literature, Sangam texts, which throw light upon this period. Apart from the literary sources, we also have inscriptions for this period, and the inscriptions corroborate the dynastic genealogies of early Puranas. Epigraphic records in Kharoshthi, found in large numbers in Gandhara and Central Asia, refer to different facets of India's regular contacts with these regions. Then we have coins. Coins bearing the names of rulers are of immense value for political history and, more importantly, for appreciating the social and economic developments. Roman coins discovered in the subcontinent, for example, enable us to understand the pattern of trade between India and the Western world. We also have explorations and excavations of nearly 150 sites during the last half century, which form an important source for this period. And we also have art and architecture, which is of great help in reconstructing the social and cultural history of the period. So the 5 centuries following the rule of the Mauryas were historically important and witnessed significant developments. Although marked by the absence of a large empire comparable to that of the Mauryas. Contacts with Central Asia and West Asia, as well as with China and to a certain extent with Southeast Asia, promoted an active interaction between India and outside world, leading to the assimilation of elements which added new dimensions to Indian culture and enriched it in many ways. So during this phase, there emerged several political entities in different parts of the country, and we are going to talk today about the Shungas, Kanvas, Indo Greeks, Sakas, Parthians, Kushanas, and Satavahanas. Particularly, let us begin with the Shungas. The Shungas, a Brahmin family, possibly originally belonged to the region of Ujjain in western India, where they worked as officials under the Maurya kings. The founder of the Shunga dynasty was Pushyamitra Shunga, who, according to tradition, assassinated the last of the Maurya kings Brihadrath in 180 BCE. The Puranas assign a reign of 36 years to Pushyamitra Shunga, who was succeeded by his son Agnimitra. Very little information has been gathered about Agnimitra's rule. Muladev appears to be an important king, the next important king with whom we have started the disintegration of the Shunga dynasty. And the last Shunga king was Devabhuti. He was the fourth ruler of the line, and he probably fell victim to the conspiracy of his Brahmin minister Vasudev. So the Shunga line came to an end by around 75 BCE. Then the Kanvas Vasudev started a new line of rulers called Kanva. It lasted only for 4 generations and they held on to the territory until 28 BCE. Apart from these major dynasties, there were some independent principalities or local powers of North India. So a number of local families came to power, and coins provide us with with the names of numerous rulers who minted them. And these independent principalities developed as local powers of North India. Numismatic evidence also indicates that after the fall of the two Brahman dynasties, that is the Shungas and the Kanvas, independent principalities came into existence at Ayodhya, Kosambi, Mathura, and Panchala almost simultaneously. So we will look into these very minor dynasties that emerged in North India. So first we have the Odambaras, who occupied the land between the upper courses of the Ravi and the Beas. Then we have Kunindas, who ruled the territory between the upper courses of the Beas and the Yamuna. The third independent principality was that of the Trigartas, who ruled the plain country between the rivers Ravi and Satluj. Then the Yodhiyas, who ruled the territory between Satluj and Yamuna and parts of eastern Rajasthan. And finally, we have the Arjunayas, Malavas, and Sibis, who were distributed in different parts of Rajasthan. Now we come to an important dynasty, that of the Indo Greeks. The most important political development of the post Maurya period was a series of movements from across the northwestern borders. The first to cross the Hindu Kush were the Bactrian Greeks. They were known in early Indian literature as Yavanas. Hence, the mingling of the two cultures of Greece and India came about in the 2nd century BCE through the Greek kings of Bactria, who moved into northwest India and came to be called the Indo Greeks. Pushed by the Scythian tribes, the Bactrian Greeks were forced to move towards India. And these invasions had begun by the end of the Mauryan rule, and the successors of Ashoka were not strong to resist them. From the first half of the 2nd century BCE, the Indo Greeks occupied a large part of northwestern India. They also undertook occasional expeditions to the Ganga basin and other parts of the country, and they came as far as Panchal, Saket, and Patliputra. One of the most famous Indo-Greek rulers was Menander or Milind, and during the period of his rule, the Indo-Greek power extended as far as the Ravi River. He had his capital at Sakala or modern Sialkot in Punjab, and the names of at least 30 Bactrian Greek rulers are known from a large number of coins. Menander's coins have been located as far as Kabul in the north and Mathura near Delhi. So, the nature of the coinage and the wide area in which it circulated suggest wide trade contacts. The Indo-Greeks are also important for the introduction of Hellenistic art features in northwestern India, which culminated in the Gandhara art style. The next important dynasty is that of the Shakas. The Indo-Greek power in northwestern India did not survive long, and a number of causes led to new movements of the Central Asian nomadic tribes known as the Scythians. Now, the Scythians, who are also known as Shakas, they moved from Bactria and invaded Iran and then the Greek kingdoms in India. And by the middle of the 1st century BCE, only a few Greek chiefs ruled in India, and several branches of the Shakas controlled a much larger part of India than the Greeks did. So there were basically four branches. One branch is believed to have settled in Afghanistan. Another line of the Shakas settled in Punjab with Takshila as the capital. There was another that ruled from Mathura, and a fourth branch was that which established itself in western and central India. And the Shakas gradually spread their supremacy over the northern and northwestern regions of India at the expense of the local Indo Greek rulers. There are different types of sources for the reconstruction of the Shakas in India. There are references to the people in Greek and Greco-Roman annals and in early Chinese accounts. Epigraphic and numismatic sources are also useful. And the earliest Indian textual reference to the Shakas is perhaps to be found in the Mahabharata. The first Shaka king in India was Moise or Moga, who established Shaka Par in Gandhara. Moise is known from a series of coins and also from inscriptions. Moise was succeeded by Aziz, who successfully attacked the last of the Indo-Greek kings in northern India, Hippostratos. Okay, now the most famous of the Shaka rulers of Western India was Rudradaman first. His sway extended to Sindh, Kutch, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Konkan, the Narmada Valley, Malwa, Kathiawar, and Western Deccan. His military achievements, his territories, and his many personal qualities are highlighted in the famous Junagadh inscription. And after the death of Rudradaman, the Shakas of this area continued to rule despite occasional upsets until about the end of the 4th century AD. Now we come to the Parthians. Towards the close of the 1st century BCE, a line of kings known as Pahlavas or Indo-Parthians gained control of northwestern India. The most prominent Parthian king was Gondophares. His rule extended from Kabul to Punjab and possibly included certain Iranian areas of the Parthian Empire. Abdagesses appears to have been the immediate successor of Gondophares. There are many coins which bear the names of Gondophares and Abdagesses. The end of the Parthian rule in India is marked by several groups of small coins that were excavated at the site of Takshila. The Parthians became assimilated into the Indian society in course of time. The Kushanas succeeded the Parthians in the extreme northwest, and they spread themselves in successive stages in the regions of northern India. The Kushanas are also referred to as Yuchis or Tocharians. They belonged to one of the 5 clans of the Yuchi tribe. They were a nomadic people originally from the steppes of North Central Asia and were responsible for ousting the Shakas in Bactria and also the Parthians in the Gandhara region. The Kushanas consolidated their territories in this area, and we have coins, inscriptions, and other sources which provide evidence about 2 successive dynasties of the Kushanas. The first line was started by Kujul Cadphises, who was believed to have united the 5 tribes of the Yuchi, and Kujul Cadphises was succeeded by Bhima Cadphises. The practice of issuing gold coins by Indian rulers regularly started with him. The Cadphises rulers were succeeded by Kanishka first, who is the best known Kushana ruler in Indian history, particularly because of his association with Buddhism. The Kushanas reached the zenith of their power under Kanishka first. The Kushana Empire at its peak extended to Sanchi in Madhya Pradesh and to Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. Mathura appears to have been the second capital city, the first being at Purushpura near modern Peshawar. The successors of Kanishka I continued to rule for over a century, but Kushana power gradually declined. And about the middle of the 3rd century AD, a king of the Sasanian dynasty of Persia defeated Vasudev, one of Kanishka's descendants, and reduced the Kushanas to a subordinate position. Finally, we have the Satavahanas. Satavahanas in the northwestern Deccan, they arose in about the 1st century BC with their center at Pratishthan, which is the modern Pathan in Maharashtra. And according to Purana tradition, it was Simukha who established Satvahana power. Kanha or Krishna, his brother, is perhaps known to us from an inscription at Nasik. The next ruler was Satkarni first. Now we know very little about the rulers that followed Satkarni till we come to the reign of Gautamiputra Satkarni. So Gautamiputra Satkarni, he was the most prominent Satvahana ruler, and one of his major achievements was the defeat of the Kshatrapas of Western Deccan and Gujarat. Gautamiputra Satkarni was succeeded by his son Vashishtiputra Pulumai, and it was at this time that the Satavahanas consolidated their power in the eastern Deccan. Yajna Shri Satkarni was the last important Satvahana ruler, and after him, the kingdom was splintered and divided between his successors. After the fall of the Satavahanas, local governors claimed independent status and a number of kingdoms came into being. For example, in the northwestern Deccan, the Abhiras came into prominence. In Maharashtra, the Chutus and after them the Kadambas became powerful. The Ikshvakus established themselves in Andhra Pradesh, and in the southeastern part of the former Satavahana Empire, the Pallavas emerged, or the Pallavas founded an independent dynasty and later on expanded into a great power. Then the Vakatakas became powerful in the region of Vidarbha or Berar. So we have seen how the Greeks, Sakas, and the Parthians and the Kushanas gradually merged into Indian society. They came to India as warriors, and therefore most of them were absorbed in the Indian society as the warrior class or the Kshatriyas. So this was an introduction to the post-Mauryan dynasties. We will come up with more videos separately on the Sungas, Kushanas and Satavahanas, and also upon their economy, religion, art and architecture. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you.